Uber has lost over $1 billion in market value after the ride-sharing app released details of over 6,000 sexual assaults connected to Uber in the last 2 years. Even though this might be a conservative estimate, the ride-sharing company saw shares fall by nearly 3% by the close of trading on Friday, the 6th of December. The San Francisco-based firm published an 84-page safety report which focused on a number of safety aspects, which included that on average, 8 incidents of sexual assault were reported each day connected to the ride-hailing service. The detailed 84-page document is broken down into categories of sexual assault, which included passenger fatality from assault, which in layman's terms to you and I means murder. Dara Khosrowshahi, Uber's CEO, did, however, appear in an interview like a quasi-authority, saying they don't automatically report incidents of sexual assault to the police.
2/3 of the reported cases of rape were not reported to the police.
Yes.
Why is that number so low?
Because sexual assault is one of the most underreported crimes. We believe it should be up to the survivor as to what they want to do, whether they want to report it to the police or not. And we will provide all of the tools to help facilitate that interaction if the survivor wants to report to the police, but it's ultimately our policy to be survivor-centric here.
Transport for London has banned hundreds of minicab drivers on the back of an investigation into schools fraudulently offering licenses. It was revealed in November that the transport regulator was investigating Vista Training Solutions and all other centres offering BTEC diplomas that can be used to gain private hired driver licenses. A BBC London TV news investigation found Vista was giving out licenses for £500 without actually testing the participants. It prompted a TfL investigation into 2,000 potentially fraudulent minicab drivers. TfL has now revoked 352 minicab licenses, shut down the offending Vista Training Solutions, and is preparing to ban other private hire centres from offering these licenses. Helen Chapman, TfL's Director of Licensing, Regulation and Charging, said, "We have now revoked the licenses of 143 drivers who obtained certificates through Vista Training Solutions and rejected the 209 pending applications using certificates from compromised colleges. Minicab drivers must complete several requirements, passing topographical tests, medical checks and criminal record checks with TfL before gaining a private hire driver licence. However, doing the course through a private BTEC college or centre was a way round this." Chapman said it was now phasing this loophole out after TfL's investigation. "The most robust and relevant topographical tests are our own assessments," she said. "To eliminate the risk of fraudulent topographical certificates being used as a way to avoid our assessments, we will remove this exemption after February." The change comes just a week after TfL refused Uber a licence for harbouring unlicensed and uninsured drivers in a pattern of failures around passenger safety. It was found that these unlicensed and uninsured drivers had taken about 14,000 trips recently. The investigation also revealed that drivers banned by Uber were making new accounts and still using the platform. TaxiLeaks replied by saying, with another 352 unqualified drivers joining the ranks of Uber, the question begs to be asked, if TfL can revoke private hire driver licenses with no continuance should they appeal under public safety issues, why doesn't TfL revoke and ban Uber outright instead of just refusing to renew their already extended licence to operate in London? Typically, the BBC is making much about the driver licenses being revoked after their Inside Out programme, yet have not made any statement about Uber being revoked. Again, why? Why did it take the BBC to investigate the issue in the first place? Why wasn't TfL on the case? In response to TfL's decision not to renew Uber's licence, UTAG's legal team has served TfL with a pre-action protocol letter. The letter puts TfL on notice that unless they change the decision to refuse Uber London a licence, thus allowing them to operate pending appeal, to the correct decision of suspending their license to operate, thus stopping them from operating until any appeal process is concluded, UTAG shall immediately seek permission to judicially review the decision on the grounds of safety. And in an interview with me, Trevor Merrills and Angela Clarkson, both directors of UTAG, set out their intentions to judicially review TfL's decision.
This is what UTAG are announcing today. We are putting in paperwork to judicially review TfL's decision on Monday based on the fact on why didn't TfL instant revocation. We are putting in the paperwork, hoping to get past the gatekeeper because JRs were a little bit complicated. Right? And I understand that UTAG was, originally set up to take TfL on multiple reasons, protect the two-tier system, applying for higher economic talks and that. But it's going to be, until we get the numbers we need, that could be 18 months away. But this is happening right now. So we are putting in the paperwork, hoping to get past the gatekeeper, trying to get in the court with TfL as soon as possible. And we'll be arguing why Uber's license should be instantly revoked and they can get their house in order. They can get their house in order and go along to their licensing hearing, and then they can put why they should have a license. And we're putting now, because the days of this trade sitting back, this is why we always find ourselves reactive rather than proactive. The trade have got to take it on the front foot now. 14,000, tip of the iceberg. We know that. Right. So let's do it. I thank everyone who's contributed to UTAG. I thank all the stakeholders, the original stakeholders, who've put substantial funds in. But I would say this now, there's a lot of cab drivers out there who have not put a penny into UTAG for whatever reason. There's a lot of fleets out there who make a good living off this trade who have not put into UTAG for a good reason. It's not closed here. Come on board now. We're here for the duration. UTAG are declaring now that we are going to take TfL. Hopefully, if we get past the gatekeeper, obviously it's all. But the lawyer is working, the QC is working on it now. We're going to court. We're going to JR. We're going for Uber's instant revocation of their license based on the fact that they're not fit and proper. They weren't fit and proper yesterday. They're not fit and proper today. They'll never be fit and proper.
It is not a matter of Uber being allowed to operate under appeal. It's the difference between TfL refusing to renew a license and a revocation. Every accident here on in should be considered as a catastrophic failing on behalf of the regulator to do the right thing. The Institute of Economic Affairs, the think tank that has close ties with Uber and have in the past been accused of offering donors access to government ministers and civil servants, were quick to pen an article in The Spectator slamming TfL's decision to refuse Uber a license. In what amounted to nothing more than an unimaginative rehash from 2017, their biased commentary stated that at the heart of TfL's effective ban is not a concern for customers, but a concern for its own black cab industry, which has come under pressure from the competition surge in the transport market. Just like the last ban, this is being driven by a protectionist mentality, which throws customers and drivers under a London bus. Firstly, the licence was refused on safety grounds, which had nothing to do with the black cab industry. And secondly, there is no protectionism. Uber lie so people believe that the innocent victims in the battle are the Silicon Valley billionaires pursuing global industry dominance. But let's be honest, there are other widespread cases where allegedly independent journalists openly serve as Uber advocates. The Evening Standard on 2 occasions have provided Uber with a front page advert. I guess this is no surprise, considering both the former Chancellor and the Prime Minister get paid lucratively by companies that invest heavily in Uber technologies. As with less biased reporting, there was no attempt to explain Uber's losses or explain how it might ever become profitable. Even less extreme examples of media malfeasance, such as financial pressures that favour pre-packaged narratives over actual journalism, the near-exclusive focus on Uber's side of the story, and the failure to examine or explain Uber's economics, or better explain why the public came to widely accept Uber's manufactured narratives.
Accept that we need to do more to address TfL's concerns.
But your reaction was that TfL is putting 40,000 people out of business. You are going to court denying any responsibility for those people in the first place. So the word on everyone's lips was hypocrite, wasn't it?
I don't know. I think we are very conscious of the fact that 40,000 people do use and earn money through Uber in London, and that fact weighs very heavily on our response. But hopefully we can see a path forward now with TfL where we can address their concerns and continue to operate.
Your business plan is very well known around the globe, and it ultimately relies on automation. So soon as you possibly can, the people backing your company want to get rid of all the drivers anyway and replace them with automated vehicles. Will you be crying then?
I think that, there is a serious obligation on companies like ours to really think about the safety benefits that come with autonomous vehicles. 2 million people die.
I'm not talking about safety, I'm talking about putting people out of business.
That tends to be how we think about it. So 2 million people die every year in road traffic accidents, and if there is something that technology can do to reduce that number...
I've asked you about the workers, about the people driving, and you respond with road safety.
I think that's a very large point.
When TfL withdrew your licence, you responded with, you are putting 40,000 people out of business. When I ask you about putting those same people out of business, you evade the answer. So will you be, as a business, as upset with yourselves for putting them out of business, bearing in mind that is your stated objective, as you are with TfL for doing it now?
The mainstream media treat corporate PR claims as if they were grounded in some kind of factual accuracy. Reporters enjoy their powerful high-status role as objective arbiters who can tell the public what to think about economic issues, but this position also makes them willfully blind to sophisticated and well-financed efforts to shape their coverage, as well as other techniques that deliberately violate their reporting. But as previously mentioned, Uber's lobbyists not only have the media in their back pocket, but also influential politicians. Whilst there might be exceptions to the rule, high-profile conservatives such as Andrew Boff have once again nailed their colours to the mast by coming out in disagreement with TfL. But let's face it, in their undying support of Uber, they're not thinking about the drivers, but the company, as drivers in London, Birmingham and Nottingham have been striking in protest over working conditions and pay. Alongside the 24-hour strike called by the United Private Hire Drivers, branch of the Independent Workers' Union of Great Britain, demonstrations were held outside Uber offices in each city. The gig economists still manipulate everyone to believe that they're entitled to a low-paid servant on hand to do whatever they need, and it's no longer necessary to plan ahead for anything or know how to do things for themselves.
This is very peculiar because the instances of impersonation, 43 instances of impersonation, were brought to the attention of TfL by Uber. And what kind of reward is that for operators, to be honest? So it's absolutely clear this is a wrong decision for the 40-odd thousand drivers who depend on Uber. It's the wrong decision for the 3.5 million Londoners who want to get round this city. And it's a wrong decision for a London that claims to be open for business. This decision says London is closed. We need to open it up.
In other news, Liam Griffin, the former Addison & Lee chief executive, is racing to assemble a rescue bid for London's second biggest minicab operator that would leave its lenders nursing heavy losses. Sky News has learned that Mr. Griffin, who stepped down from the helm of the company in 2015 but remains on the board as vice chairman, has approached a range of investment funds in recent weeks about backing a takeover. If successful, a bid would return the son of Addison & Lee's founder, John Griffin, to the top of the company at a time when its future looks increasingly uncertain. City sources said that this weekend the younger Mr. Griffin had submitted a provisional offer of about $125 million to Addison & Lee in the past fortnight, although this proposal has yet to secure all of the required funding. A takeover of that sort of level would leave lenders to Addison & Lee, which are led by the Dutch bank ING, facing big losses on their estimated $230 million of outstanding debts. Insiders said that the lending syndicate had been persuaded to inject a further $20 million of financing into the company in recent weeks, as it tries to find a buyer prepared to take it off the hands of the Carlyle Group, its private equity owner. Addison & Lee, which has been fighting a long-running battle with Uber Technologies for dominance in the capital's private hire market, is understood to be targeting a rescue deal by the end of the year. George Osborne, who served as the UK's Chancellor of the Exchequer under Prime Minister David Cameron from 2010 to 2016, yesterday blamed cyclists for London's traffic congestion. Writing in the Evening Standard, which he has edited since May 2017, Osborne wrote that London's choking gridlock was caused not by too many motor vehicles, but by infrastructure built for cyclists. Specifically, he blames the embankment supercycle highway beside the Thames. Osborne once said he applauded the fact that London was now one of the more bicycle-friendly cities in the world, but he has now come out against one of the icons of that friendliness. He went on to say, "Some of the cycle superhighways are ill-conceived, causing near-permanent congestion and pollution. The one running along the embankment is the most obvious mistake. Despite the many millions of pounds it costs to create the cycle superhighway, Osborne wants it to be removed and redesigned. If the current mayor, Sadiq Khan, started again with a better design on the embankment, he would win plaudits and popular support." Osborne is the second former Chancellor to object to London's number of badly designed protected cycle superhighways. During a debate in the House of Lords in 2015, Lord Lawson claimed that the building of cycle superhighways in London had done more damage to London than almost anything since the Blitz. Although it is indisputable that hidden consumption pollution is exasperated by the reduction in road space, this is a policy that isn't going to go away anytime soon. When will TfL, the Mayor of London, and the local authorities understand that pollution migrates globally, and to prevent it from crossing the North Circular, for example, is a ludicrous policy that only serves to make the daily lives of ordinary people that much harder? Last Monday, I was privileged enough to be invited to Palestra to the Health and Wellbeing Seminar hosted by Transport for London. Also invited were a number of mid-management TfL delegates, interested parties and trade representatives. Whilst attempting to tackle the thorny issue of mental health, and whilst this could be considered a start, unless TfL are willing to accept responsibility and deal with causation, then we are not going to get anywhere. The contrived setting only dealt with symptoms and steered well clear from the part they play in the causes of mental ill health. What did transpire from the meeting is that TfL is legally bound to do an impact assessment on what is happening to our industry. But I fear, unless the pressure is applied from our representation, then this too will be kicked into the long grass. The LTDA have spoken out about the upcoming election, encouraging people to vote for the man and not the party. In a video segment with West Streeting, he praised the man for all the work he had done for the cab trade and encouraged drivers to vote for those that support the industry. And I see him right, except I only wish the LTDA would apply the same clarity at the association's own branch elections.
Since I was elected as Ilford North's MP in 2015, I've been putting taxi and private hire licensing reform on the national agenda, and I'm really glad to be here this afternoon with Steve McNamara, the General Secretary of the Licensed Taxi Drivers Association.
But I'm really pleased to be here offering our support to Wes. The LTDA is totally apolitical. We support the man, not the party, and Wes is our man. Wes has done so much to get the regulation and the licensing changes that we need, not just in London but across the country. He's been fantastic for us, fantastic for our industry, and I'm so pleased to be here today offering him our support, saying thank you very much for everything you've done. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. I really appreciate that, and this is an issue that affects over 1,000 people who work in the taxi and private hire industry in Ilford North. So just as other MPs fight for their factories and for their big businesses, I've been fighting for taxi drivers throughout my time as an MP, and I hope people will vote to re-elect me next Thursday, the 12th of December.
Cabbies Do Kili have completed their 2019 task by handing over a cheque for a whopping £18,000 to the taxi charity for military veterans. After a year-long epic challenge to lose weight and get fit enough to tackle the tallest freestanding mountain in the world, the remaining three proud London cabbies, Darren, John and Brian, presented a cheque to the taxi charity at their annual Christmas lunch on December the 5th. When asked what his challenge meant to him, London cabbie Darren Parr said that reaching the summit of Kilimanjaro, donating such an amazing amount to the taxi charity and raising the profile of London's black taxis makes him proud, and he would like to thank all those people who have supported the group over the past year.
The last year training for this incredible challenge, and they are a credit to our cab trade because they've brought such positive news, positive publicity to the trade, and not only that, they've raised an extraordinary sum of money, training, losing weight, and then climbing the second highest mountain in the world, I believe it is. Highest mountain in Africa, all right, and they have raised, look at this, unbelievable, £18,000.
doesn't stop there. You could say the Kilimanjaro group has increased in size, as no less than 20 London cabbies have expressed an interest to take up the challenge in 2020.
Kilimanjaro is a great reason to go to Tanzania.
You don't have to be a mountaineer or a professional to come to Tanzania and climb Kilimanjaro.
For a normal average climber, and I'm not a mountaineer, I'm just a normal person, it was fantastic.
Anybody can do it. When you're at the top, it's like you're in heaven. You're looking down at the clouds, and it's when the sunrise comes up. You can't explain it. You have to go there to see it.
Every day as you got nearer and nearer, it was just beautiful, you know.
The best part, obviously, was reaching Uhuru Peak. That was the best part for me.
Just seeing that sign, unforgettable.
I climbed Kilimanjaro. I want you to climb Kilimanjaro. Tanzania, unforgettable.
For every parent, the health of their child is paramount. So when Leanne's 5-year-old son Jensen was taken ill, her only concern was getting him treated as soon as possible. In order to do that, she took the wise decision to take a black cab to the hospital. Only, once inside, Jensen looked for his best friend, a cuddly toy called Monkey, and couldn't find it anywhere. After looking everywhere, Leanne took her plight to social media, and after thousands of shares, Leanne was contacted by a lady called Wendy, who said her partner Mark was the driver that picked them up and had found the much-loved toy. Mark asked if he could come and collect Jensen from the hospital, and on arrival, Jensen ran to the taxi shouting "Monkey" with a great big smile. Mark then dropped them back home safe and sound and told Leanne if ever Jensen needed to go back to the hospital to just message him and he will take them and pick them up again free of charge. Just another reason to be a proud London cabbie.
London Taxi Radio, the station just for cabbies.
London Taxi PR has once again been recognised for its achievements as a leading global brand PR agency by being rewarded with not one, but 2 awards in the Aviation and Aerospace Awards 2020, organised by Corporate Vision magazine. The award has seen London Taxi PR being named as not only the best public transport promotions group for the 2nd year running, but also recognition for the recent highly successful All Hail the Street Hail advertising and promotional campaign, which has been recognised as the best public transport advertising campaign in the UK. All the campaigns and publicity that has so far been generated by London Taxi PR and has been funded by London taxi drivers, as well as supportive companies and organisations within the taxi industry, from as little as £2 per month. The cab shelters are coming together to raise funds for 7 taxi-focused charities over the Christmas period. The plea, that is spearheaded by Katie Simmons from the Russell Square Cab Shelter, will benefit the Taxi Warm Clothing Charity, the East London Cabbies Outing, the Cabman Shelter Fund, the Albany Taxi Outing, the Magical Taxi Tour, the Taxi Charity for Military Veterans, and the Licensed Taxi Drivers Charity for Children. Here is what Katie had to say.
So what I wanted to do this year is for Christmas unite them all and try and get £1 from every cab in London, which I hope is 23,500. I know I'm probably not going to do that, but if I can get everybody just to give something for charity, and then just before Christmas we can divide whatever's in the pot between all the charities so they all get something. We've managed to get the tins in the Green Hearts. Where else, Kate? Great Suffolk Street. No, I wasn't spying on any of these. Great Suffolk Street, Astral Cath, what's the other one? Sapori, Ascot Cab Company. They've all been really kind and let us put a tin in there, and I'm hoping that the cabbies will pass one of these places and just please put £1 in or 2 if you can.
And finally, if you thought the track We Are London was good, then you ain't heard nothing yet. Good Old Fashioned Christmas is a brand new retro style Christmas anthem, and is written and produced by our very own John Cox and Joe Cartwright, and performed as part of the Jukebox Party Band, and is available on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music and Google Play. Go and get it and add it to your Christmas playlist. Believe me, it's the best 79 pence you will ever spend. That's all from me this week. If you need to contact me for whatever reason, you can do so by DMing me on Twitter at London Taxi Radio or on Facebook, London Taxi Radio. Alternatively, you can email me, Sean at London Taxi Radio. All that's left for me to say is stay safe, and I will see you out there on the mean streets.
You found London Taxi Radio, the station for London's taxi drivers.